Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm talking about the Izzy Awards. For those of us who work in independent media, it's very relevant, awarding excellence. And so it's being presented for outstanding achievement in independent media. It's named after Izzy Stone, who was a dissident journalist who launched I.F. Stone's Weekly in 1953 and challenged McCarthyism, racial injustice, the Vietnam War, and government deceit. So, topics of great relevance then and now. And so, there will be an award ceremony held in Ithaca, New York, in early April. And so, I'll leave a link to the press release about this in the description. But there will be three recipients this year. They will be sharing the award. Let's see. Shane Bauer is one recipient. He published a pretty important piece of investigation for Mother Jones, and it was a multi-page PDF that I saw, and it's called "My 4 Months as a Private Prison Guard." He went undercover, and he was hired for $9 an hour at a Louisiana prison. And that was by the second largest private prison company at that time, which was called Corrections Corporation of America, CCA, which had recently rebranded itself as Core Civic. And so Bauer wrote about the violence that he witnessed, the lockdowns, and its transformational effect on him. And it was like a 35,000 word entry, and there was also undercover video footage included. And so it really shook up the Corrections Corporation of America, and it did help the Obama administration to distance itself from private prisons. And then there was another expose that Bauer produced, and that was Undercover with the Border Militia. And that was about his experience with a well armed, unofficial U.S. militia group that patrolled the Mexico border. And so, again, pointing out the fact that just like with Occupy Wall Street, this undercover expose also took place under the Obama administration. That many people, have short memories, it seems like, that they forget that there was a lot of economic upset underneath the Obama administration, and then also some criminal justice upset too. The Ferguson riots and shootings and police shootings and things like that occurred underneath the Obama administration. And it's good to make sure that those things are not forgotten and that people made efforts to expose the problems in those systems. There's another person being awarded. It's Seth Freed Wessler. And let's see. He did a series of reports that revealed medical neglect and failed government oversight in privately run federal prisons that led to dozens of avoidable deaths. And so the reporting about the separate unequal facilities designated for non-citizens was published by The Nation and Reveal in collaboration with the Investigative Fund. And so this reporting led to the closing of one of the most troubled prisons, and the U.S. Justice Department ordered the Bureau of Prisons to end its use of private prisons. And so, of course, we know with the Trump administration, there was a reversal of that stance. Okay, and then there's Ari Berman, who wrote reports for The Nation. And he exposed various actions of efforts to depress voter turnout in certain states and to restrict voting access, specifically targeted at minorities and youth. And this was during the first presidential election in 50 years without the full protection of the Voting Rights Act. And as I spoke of with Fannie Lou Hamer and her efforts to fight for voting rights, that this was a significant turnaround and a significant reversal, that there was a lack of oversight in certain communities that was needed. And so Berman crisscrossed the country and uncovered facts and motives behind the new voting restrictions in more than a dozen states. And he wrote, "The GOP's war on voting is working." And in that story, he contrasted Wisconsin and Minnesota. And then he also wrote, "Texas voter registration laws are straight out of the Jim Crow playbook." And so he claimed that there was a two-tier democracy. And so he actually presented his findings before Congress. And so there's also a third person, America Divided, three independent documentary filmmakers, Solid Granstein, Lucian Reed, and Richard Rowley, got together to create a series examining the structural inequity and inequality that divides our country. And so they used actors and artists and correspondents and experts and social justice advocates. And they looked at issues such as worker exploitation, mass incarceration, environmental racism, housing discrimination, voter suppression. And so these series premiered on the Epix channel, and that they can now be seen in community gatherings across the country. And so they usually don't consider documentaries for the Izzy Awards, but this one was so hard-hitting and so powerful that they included it. And so these are what is considered excellence in independent media in terms of public affairs, the Izzy Awards, and that previous winners are Glenn Greenwald and Amy Goodman, and David Sirota, and persons such as that. And so if you are making your efforts to provide information and you're an independent journalist, know that your work echoes around and might have a tremendous effect that you might not see now, but that might be recognized later. I know some, that, may or may not be recognized with an Izzy Award, but, have the ability to change lives and to change hearts and to change minds. And so I say good luck to all of those who are working in independent media.